Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting of council. I'll start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live, work, and gather on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, specifically the Temiskaming First Nation. We recognize the presence of the Temiskaming First Nation in our community since time immemorial and honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift their voice and values. Before I call the meeting to order, Councillor Wilson just wants...
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to just take a moment to recognize Diane Johnson, the Temiskaming Speaker, on her recent Ontario Community Newspapers Quill Award. I believe I got the name right, for her high standard of journalism and long service in the field. Thank you for all your excellent, accurate, and balanced coverage of our region. So thank you, Diane, and congratulations.
Speech. I'll call the meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. All members are present.
Awesome. Thank you. Item 4: review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. Seeing none, I do have a draft resolution in front of me for the approval of the agenda. Be it resolved that City Council approves the agenda as printed. Moved by Councillor Whalen, seconded by Councillor Graydon. All in favor? That motion is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 7. Public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, and other statutes. And we do have a potential disposition of land. The applicant is Matt Kroll and Melissa Doy. And the property is a portion of 9th Street, a portion of 2 laneways. They're unopened road allowances, and the purpose is the applicant owns the land adjacent to 9th Street and a portion of the 2 laneways, and is seeking to acquire the subject properties to have contiguous property ownership to construct a residential dwelling. The purpose of this public meeting is to present to Council and to the public details related to proposed disposition of land, being a portion of 9th Street and a portion of 2 laneways. The meeting also allows the public to provide comments on the proposed disposition prior to Council making a decision. I now declare this to be an open public meeting and request the planner, Jennifer Pye, to outline the details of the proposed disposition. Jennifer?
Thank you. Okay, so as stated, this is an application to purchase land from Matthew Kroll and Narissa Doy. They're looking to purchase an unopened portion of 9th Street and a portion of 2 laneways that are unopened road allowances. So the applicants do own the residential land that's adjacent to the subject properties, and they're just seeking contiguous ownership by purchasing those laneways and road allowances. Next slide. Okay, so this is a map of the area. So in red are the portions of land that they're looking to purchase. So the wider one on the right-hand side of the screen is the portion of 9th Street, and the 2 narrower ones are the 2 laneways that they're looking at. Proctor's Road is on the bottom of the slide, and that blue X is where they're looking to build their home. Okay. So in accordance with our disposition of land bylaw, so based on this public meeting, if it's approved, then we can go forward with a direct disposition to the applicant. So based on our determination of value, staff are recommending a price of $1,500 plus all associated costs, legal, survey costs, those sorts of things. And the public meeting notice for tonight's meeting was posted in the city bulletin and on our website, and was also emailed to the utility companies. As well as 14 impacted landowners. Okay, so for this disposition, because we're looking at portions of road allowances and laneways, a reference plan or survey would be required just to get the legal description satisfied for the property, and we would have to adopt a stop up and close bylaw. So the property is designated rural area in the city's official plan, and it's zoned rural hold 3 in the city's zoning bylaw. And the purpose of the hold 3 provision is to recognize properties that are in proximity to sewage treatment and waste management sites. and to ensure that the required compatibility considerations are addressed prior to the development of a sensitive use within those distances. Okay, so these are my comments. I consulted with the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks on the required and recommended separation distances from the North Cobalt Lagoons, and this is in accordance with one of the D guidelines from the Ministry as well. So the H3 provision in the zoning bylaw states that where the MECP has been circulated on an application for development and has no concerns, the permitted uses shall be limited to those permitted in the zone without having to remove the holding provision. It's just for council's information there. And so this is a map that I did up. So the D2 guideline, which is the guideline that's applicable to sewage treatment facilities, so that's the minimum line, is the yellow line. So no sensitive uses can be located closer to the lagoon than that yellow line. And then the green line is, so between the yellow and green is sort of a further study is required, but maybe it can be there. And outside of that green boundary it's fine. There are no concerns there. So you can see the blue X where their house is proposed to be built is outside of that green line. So there are no concerns there. Okay, so the manager of transportation services replied that the property fronts on Proctor's Road, which is maintained year-round. There were no concerns from staff, and staff are supportive of the request. No public comments were received to date on this application, and there were no concerns received from any of the utility companies, including Hydro, Enbridge, Bell Eastlink, and Telebec. Okay, and then the next steps for this application would be to order a survey to legally describe that portion of the subject road allowance and the laneways, the adoption of a stop-up and close bylaw for the road allowance and the lanes, an administrative report recommending the purchase and sale agreement, and adoption of the deeming bylaw to merge the lots on title. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. If there are any members of the public wanting to speak to this potential land sale? Seeing none. Are there any members of council that would like to speak on the matter or comment? Can the Director of Corporate Services indicate if there have been any comments placed within the chat box or by email? Have we seen anything? No? I now declare that this public meeting is closed and council will give due consideration to the application. This takes us to item 8, review and adoption of the council minutes. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular council meeting held on November the 21st, 2023. B, the special committee of the whole meeting for the budget held on November the 28th, 2023. And the committee of the whole meeting held on December the 5th, 2023. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks. Councillor Foley, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 9, presentations. And 9A, it's a presentation for the 2024 municipal operating and capital budget. Stephanie?
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor, Council, and everyone attending in person and virtually. I'm pleased to be here tonight to present the 2024 budget for the City of Temiskaming Shores. Tonight's agenda will proceed as follows. We will outline the budget review process, review operational budgets starting with a year-over-year comparison, summaries for both general and environmental services highlighting key variances, 2023 year-to-date operating statistics, capital budgets including an overall summary, capital by cost center, key highlights of major projects, and we will also review property tax rate comparisons, scenarios, and frequency distribution, and then the conclusion recommendation. The management team has been reviewing and preparing the city's 2024 operating and capital budget since the fall, and a preliminary draft budget was presented to Committee of the Whole on November 28. As always, the main goal when preparing the budget was to remain fiscally responsible while maintaining service levels and ensuring critical infrastructure needs were addressed, all while trying to minimize the impact to the taxpayers. The 2023 annual average CPI inflation rate is slightly over 3% compared to 6.8% for 2022, and the borrowing rates for 22 and 23 were more than double what they were compared to 2021. In order to undertake and complete some significant capital projects in 22 and 23, the city has pre-committed itself to long-term debt. These loans are expected to be debentured gradually throughout 2024 as the interest rates slowly begin to decline. Operating and capital projects within this budget were reviewed closely and were prioritized based on alignment with the asset management plan, the recreation master plan, the active transportation plan, and other internal capital replacement plans. We also considered immediate needs, end of life, funding opportunities, and savings due to partnerships or combination of projects. The senior management team was asked to reduce capital spending to bring our spending back in line with the pre-pandemic levels, with the ultimate goal of eliminating the need to incur any new debt for 2024 capital investments. Following council budget deliberations, Committee of the Whole supported and/or recommended the following, which will be addressed within this presentation. Recommendation number 1, reduce or eliminate new debt for capital projects. Number 2, present the tax impact scenarios and frequency distribution on the average residential property based on an increase to the levy between 2.5 and 3.5%, and include the proposed staffing changes to the operating budget. Next slide, please. As we prepared the annual budget, we assumed maintenance to existing service levels, included any increases associated with contractual and legislated obligations, as well as inflationary increases as applicable. Management also considered historical trends, as well as expected future usage and requirements, and the estimates that we're presenting are based on the information available at the time that the budget was compiled. So for 2024, we're proposing a total combined budget close to $25.5 million. This represents a 3% increase to general operations, a 1.3 decrease to environmental operations, and a 33.3 decrease to overall capital. So this chart here illustrates the historical trends on total municipal budgets on a cash basis for the city and includes the breakdown between operations and capital. 2020 and 2021 were excluded, seeing as those operational budgets were adjusted to reflect the pandemic impacts. And it should be noted that 22 and 23 capital were anomalies, as disruptions in supply chain and labor markets during the pandemic impaired the city's ability to complete capital work and purchases. There were several carryovers and catch-ups during those 2 years. Next slide. Oh, sorry. On this slide, we have a summary of the general operations budget. So before we get started, just a couple things to note. So the budget change columns on the right side, a positive or red number means an increase to that budget line, and a negative number or in brackets means a decrease or additional revenue. A positive percentage equals an increase, negative percentage decrease. And the staffing requests that were outlined in the budget report have all been built into this budget. There were notable changes within several departments, which have all been outlined in the budget report that was distributed prior to the meeting. Just in an effort to streamline the presentation, I'll go over the budget lines that have a net change greater than $50,000 or 5%. And we have 3 different scenarios for an increase to the tax levy, which are the 2.5%, 3%, and 3.5% increases. So those increases would change the bottom two numbers, the general taxation net, which is in green on this side, and also the transfer of capital just below that number. And all the other numbers within the council review number 2 and scenarios 1, 2, 3 are all the same. So just a few general notes. So the statutory benefits have been increased in accordance to 2024 guidelines. So that means the CPP, EI, EHT, WSIB, and OMERS. As of January 1, employees and employers must contribute a second additional CPP contribution on earnings above an annual maximum earnings. Salary increases have been assumed in all staffing lines. And operating projects are included in all the applicable departmental budgets for a total of $590,000. So that list, along with the brief descriptions, are all available in the budget report. The utilities have been increased based on average rates, past usage, plus a 2% inflationary increase. So for note number C, which is the economic development line, the most notable change in this department is the proposal for an agreement with One Light Diversity Center to provide settlement services, which totals $30,000. Labor market is the #1 issue in economic development and community growth today. The city has been supporting workforce attraction through immigration and job fairs for over a decade. The statistics have shown that although Northeastern Ontario has been reasonably successful at drawing newcomers to the region, the retention rates have not been nearly as good. So this new support for welcoming and settlement services through One Light Diversity is intended to increase the retention rates of those we draw to our community by introducing them to others and making them feel welcome in their new home. Note F. So that is the Public Works and Solid Waste Management departments. So the increase to that line is $426,000, and that's split between 2/3 for Public Works and Fleet and 1/3 for Solid Waste. So for Public Works and Fleet, the winter control budget was increased by $50,000, which is less than what the expenses we've seen in the past. There was also a reduction to an internal recovery for gravel to align with past trends. Staffing changes with a total net cost of $28,000 were supported by council. One of the positions is to ensure appropriate succession planning for a key leadership position, and the other change was the removal of a patrol position to be replaced by an additional water sewer maintenance position. The capital lease program for small fleet replacement with Enterprise was increased by $50,000 over the last budget, and the fleet reserve is expected to be depleted by 2024, and the balance will be insufficient to offset 24 principal and interest for the capital lease expense. There was also an increase of $70,000 to parts and maintenance for fleet. And it should be noted that the 2023 year-to-date actuals for parts and maintenance currently exceed the 23 budget. For the solid waste department, the new landfill operational requirements in accordance with the environmental compliance approval resulted in an increase of approximately $95,000 to landfill operations contract. The recycling operations assumes an increase of $75,000. Additionally, there was an increase to the operational projects, which are identified in the operating project list. There was an increase of $40,000 to the transfer to reserve. Landfill and recycling revenues are expected to increase by approximately $160,000, which partially offsets the increases that we just outlined. And a $2 increase to the waste diversion fee has been assumed. The next one is transit. So an increase to the transit budget has been included. The budgeted transit revenues were decreased by $85,000 to align with past trends and current year-end projection. This adjustment also factors in the recently approved increase to transit fares, which had not been adjusted since 2018 for monthly passes and since 2022 for individual fares. Additionally, there was also an increase to wages to allocate a portion of the mechanic and shop clerk's time to transit, with the expectation that proactive routine maintenance will assist in reducing repair costs. The next one would be the libraries, so note H. The library board has recently reviewed their investment policy and has adjusted the transfer from the trust fund in alignment with their disbursement quota. This resulted in an $8,000 reduction in revenues, and additionally, a change in the staffing structure has been proposed with the goal of improving staff retention at the library. So the overall changes to that department have resulted in an increase of 5.8%. Note I, policing. So we will be seeing a decrease of 11.9% or $295,000 for municipal policing, and this is in accordance with our annual billing statement package. Note J is health and social services. So we have built in some increases to the Temiskaming Health Unit and DSAB fees. Their respective budgets have not been approved at this time. Therefore, these estimates are subject to change and pose a risk to this budget. The Ontario Municipal Partnership funding, so note G, was increased by approximately $63,000 in accordance with the 2024 allocation notice. So just to recap, general operations, those are expected to increase by 3% from the previous budget. The general taxation numbers in the bottom show the expected taxation revenues based on different increase scenarios, which also changes the available funds to be used for capital projects. Next slide, please. So for the environmental services budget, we have included an increase of $62,000 for the addition of the water sewer maintenance position. This position was supported given the significant increase in water breaks that we've been seeing, which is an average of 2 breaks per week. Also included in this budget is an increase of $115,000 to chemicals, an increase of $42,000 to maintenance and repairs, and $65,000 for electricity. And next slide. So this slide here is just a few of the statistics that we track at the city. We offer a wide range of services, and this does not represent nearly all of the services that we offer, but just to show you a few of the 2023 highlights. Before I move on to capital, were there any questions on operations?
Thanks, Steph. Does anybody have any questions for Steph with regards to the operating budgets? Nope. Carry on.
So the municipality's capital budget represents the investment that the city is going to make to purchase, create, repair, and rehabilitate assets that we use to provide services to our community. 1/4 of the total municipal budget is dedicated towards capital investments. The main funding sources of these assets includes government grants, private partners and donors, reserves, transfer from the tax levy, and long-term debt. Next slide, please. So on this slide, we see the combined summary of all the 2024 capital projects. The proposed capital request totals $6.57 million, and less than $1 million are carryover projects. So following the recommendation from Committee of the Whole, we were able to allocate additional reserve funds to use towards proposed capital, and we're pleased to report that no new investments would be funded by debt in 2024. And just to note that the summary of the current debt as well as the reserve and reserve funds have been provided in the budget report. Yep. So this pie chart here represents the proportion of funds used for capital projects. So 68% will be coming from internal resources, so city and reserve funds, and 32% would be coming from external sources, so funding and partners. So over the next few slides, I'll show the recommended capital projects by department. A list of all the projects along with their descriptions was provided prior to the presentation in the budget report. And for the purpose of this presentation, I'll provide an explanation of projects with a budgeted value greater than $500,000. So for corporate services, there's a total of 6 projects for a total of $277,000. The electric vehicle charger is expected to be funded through a grant and a partnership. Next slide. For the fire department, 3 projects have been proposed. The third request, which is at the bottom, is dependent on a successful funding application through the Community Emergency Preparedness Grant. A total of $2.9 million in capital is being proposed at this time for public works and solid waste. There are 3 large projects within this section that we would like to break down as they exceed the $500,000 threshold. Next slide. So the first one is the Haileybury landfill closure. So just to recap on the landfill expansion project timeline, which was presented in the last budget. With the opening of the New Liskeard landfill in 2023, the Haileybury landfill stopped accepting waste. So in accordance with the environmental compliance approval and the ministry-approved closure plan, final capping of the Haileybury landfill is required in 2024. This aligns to the original timelines for the project, and it involves the placement of clay, topsoil, and grass seed. Next slide. The Albert Street reconstruction phase number 2. So this project was awarded in 2023 with the plan of a 2-year completion schedule. The following work is going to take place in 2024. So adjustment to the structures and base, preparation and pouring of concrete curb and gutter, laying of asphalt road and active travel path, landscaping and yard touch-ups as required. And the active travel portion of this project is budgeted in the recreational capital budget. Next slide. The Diamond Industrial Paving Phase 1. So Phase 1 of this project consists of paving a portion of the Diamond Industrial Park from Micmac along Hahn to the intersection of Rockley. It incorporates approximately 500 meters of road and 13 business entrances. The current system is capable of handling road users, however, the structure presents a never-ending maintenance issue. There's only a handful of roads within the city that receive as much maintenance as Hahn and Brazo. So the regular maintenance activities for the industrial park include, but are not limited to, liquid or flake calcium a minimum of 4 times a year, grading once per week, washouts often after heavy rainfall, approximately 3 to 4 times per summer, culvert maintenance every spring, snow ditching, ditch cleanouts, and pothole repairs. So since we had a successful year with industrial land sales, and that paving this road would provide operational savings in terms of road maintenance, it was felt that Phase 1 should proceed in 2024. Just to note, proceeding with Phase 1 does not necessarily mean a pre-commitment to the next phases. Those would be evaluated at the time they're brought forward and would be dependent on our financial situation and also the funds available in the Economic Development Reserve. So there were 8 capital projects presented for the recreational department for an estimated total cost of $1.14 million. There's one large project within this section that we would like to break down as it exceeds the threshold. So that would be the recreational park upgrades, which is Far Park and Shaver Park. Next slide. So Far Park is planned to receive paving for the parking lot, an expansion to the basketball court, a resurfaced tennis court, path lighting, improvements to the ball diamond, infield, and backstop, and the purchase of a ball diamond groomer. This renovation to Far Park will set up the park for the installation of an accessible playground in a future year. And at Shaver Park, we will pave the surface of the outdoor rink, replace the end fencing of the outdoor rink, and paint a bicycle obstacle course on the new surface. For property maintenance, all the projects that were proposed are under the $500,000 threshold. So there were 8 projects totaling $385,000. For the fleet, there was one carryover capital purchase for a triaxle. This purchase was originally to be funded through long-term debt. However, we're now proposing to fund this through the working capital reserve. For the transit, the proposed capital is for the purchase of 2 transit buses, which would be funded through the ICIP program and provincial gas tax. And there's just under $1 million of capital investments being proposed for environmental services. These are all under the $500,000 threshold mark. All these projects are funded through the reserve and or the capital levy. So how do we compare to other municipalities? So this chart shows our residential tax rate compared to others. Just something to keep in mind is that a municipality with a lower assessment base may have higher tax rates, but we're pretty well at the bottom of this chart, so that's good. So some tax scenarios were prepared for the median residential property and the average commercial property. So the median residential property is valued at $192,000. So what would an increase mean for that property? So based on the 3 scenarios plus a 2% increase to water sewer rates, that property would see an increase somewhere between $87 to $117 annually, which represents $7 to $10 a month. On the next slide, we've calculated the same assessed value and tax rate, but this time we're showing the total taxes levied on the property versus just the change. Next slide. The scenarios were also calculated on the average commercial property, which would be valued at approximately $281,000. So based on the 3 scenarios plus a 2% increase to water sewer rates, the average commercial property would see an increase of approximately $108 annually or $9 a month. And on the next slide, we've done the same as with residential. We're showing the total annual property taxes instead of just the change for the year. Next slide, please. So for this chart here, we've used the modeling tool available on the ministry site to show the frequency distribution of an increase to the levy. So this chart was prepared with the information we currently have in the system and could be subject to change. Also, this chart does not include any user fees, such as water, sewer, or waste. So this chart here is using a 3% increase to the levy. So the lower assessed properties would see an average tax increase of $57 for the year, which represents 78% of the residential properties. 630 out of 3,600 properties are assumed to be vacant lots, as the assessed values are less than $50,000. 20% of the residential properties could expect an increase between $100 and $200 for municipal taxes only, and 1.9% of residential properties would see an increase somewhere between $200 and $535 for the year. Next slide. So this last chart was also prepared using the data available on the ministry site. So this just shows the net assessment growth from 2017 to 2023 by the different broad classes. And next slide. So this brings me to the conclusion. The Government of Ontario are the ones who established the province's assessment and taxation regulations, and for 2024, the property assessments continue to be based on 2016 values. So the Minister of Finance has not made any announcement yet at this time regarding the next update to the property assessment values. Projected growth for the city in 24 has not been incorporated into this budget. However, you just saw the past trends over the last several years. So we can expect some growth, but it's a little bit difficult to project at this time. So 3 scenarios have been presented in the 2024 draft budget, and the capital budget assumed a 3% increase to the tax levy, which represents an increase to the transfer to capital of $127,000. So our recommendation would be to increase the tax levies and increase the solid waste by $2. The proposed increase to the tax levy is in line with the increase to the general operations and the 12-month average for the inflation rate, and it also allows for a reasonable transfer to capital. So we're seeking recommendation at this time or support from Council on the tax levy, water, sewer, and solid waste rates, as well as approval of the budget in principle, incorporating all of the supported positions. And before I pass it over to Mayor and Council, I just want to thank the team for all your hard work in preparing this budget, because it's definitely a group effort. Thank you.
Thanks, Steph. Anybody have any comments or questions for Steph before she runs? No? Steph, I just want to echo your comments, not only to yourself, but to the rest of the team for all of the hard work and getting us to the point where we can actually discuss and approve the budget before the end of the year, especially when we get into capital and moving forward in 2024. The sooner we can give that direction, the quicker we can get started. So thank you. Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the report, good report, and thanks to staff for the work you've done. I did read it line by line, don't worry. Pretty dry reading when you're a guy like me, but I did get through it. But I'm in support of the budget as presented. I'm also, I'm a taxpayer too, but I do support the 3%. I don't think the province has a clear path of which way they're heading right now, so I do think there's a couple of surprise expenses coming for us down the road, but I think we can deal with them during the upcoming year. The thing I do want to say is, as a municipal councillor, it's also our job to look at generating new revenue. So I do have some discussions that I'd like to bring forward in the new year, as far as the MAT tax. Spoke with James about that being one of them. So I think there are opportunities there to grow our revenue. So looking forward to some discussion on that. But I do agree with your budget as presented. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Any other comments? Okay. Okay, I do have a number of resolutions associated, to the presentation, so I'll start with the first one. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby acknowledges the presentation of the 2024 operating and capital budget. Can I get a mover, please? This is Councillor Graydon, seconded by Councillor Pelchy-Living. Discussion? All in favor? The motion is carried. We also have another resolution. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to incorporate a 3% increase to the tax levy within the 2024 budget. Can I get a mover? Councillor Ducharme, seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. I have a resolution. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to incorporate a 2% increase to both water and sewer rates within the 2024 budget. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Graydon, seconded by Councillor Whalen. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. I have a resolution. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to incorporate a full-time water and sewer maintenance person position and eliminate the temporary equipment operator position at an estimated annual cost of $61,861 within the 2024 budget. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. A resolution. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to incorporate a 10-month shadow for the Aquatic Youth Coordinator position and the elimination of the head guard position at an estimated cost of $58,311 within the 2024 budget. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks. Councillor Pelchy-Living, seconded by Councillor Whalen. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to incorporate a 6-month shadow for the Superintendent of Transportation Services position at an estimated cost of $45,655 within the 2024 budget. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. I have a resolution. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to incorporate a summer student wage rate grid with a 25-cent increase per hour for each year of returning service within the 2024 budget. Can I get a mover? Thanks. Councillor Graydon, seconded by Councillor Pelchy-Living. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. For resolution, be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to proceed with an agreement with One Light Diversity Center at an annual cost of $30,000 within the 2024 budget. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Ducharme, seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. I have a resolution. Be it resolved that the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to incorporate an increase of $2 to the solid waste diversion fee within the 2024 budget. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Whalen, seconded by Councillor Graydon. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. And I have a resolution. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores direct staff to finalize the 2024 operating capital budget for adoption in principle at the December 19th, 2024 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? This is Councillor Ducharme, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. That takes us to item 10, correspondence. 10A from the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, read their letter regarding Ontario Echo Skin and Wound Care that was received for information purposes. B, from Prince Edward County, resolution regarding proposal to expand the use of the permit by rule to waste management systems, stormwater management systems, and certain water taking activities. That was received for information. The Town of Orangeville, resolution regarding Ontario Works financial assistance rates. That was received for information. The Municipality of South Bruce, that was a resolution regarding Ontario Association of Sewage Industry Services. That was received for information. The Township of Coleman, a resolution regarding Conservation Officer reclassification. That was received for information. F, the Northern Policy Institute, reclosing the gap. The Highway 2+1 roads can save time, lives, and taxpayer dollars. That was received for information. Item G, the Town of Plimpton, Wyoming, the resolution regarding support to revoke strong mayor power and increase in the leave to construct threshold. That was received for information. Item H, Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, the letter regarding the recognition and thanks to Chief Danielle Foy and Chief Scott Todd for their commitment to bail reform and the impacts of property damage in northern communities. That was received for information. Item I, the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services, Ontario News release regarding investing in programs to prevent and address gender-based violence. That was received for information. Item J, from Cindy Dubé, the Director of Zach's Crib, read a letter regarding Zach's Crib soft opening. That was received for information. Item K, from Clearview Township, read the resolution regarding cemetery transfer, abandonment, administration, and management. That was received for information. Item L, from Yvon Champoux, building contractor, read the application to purchase municipal land, and that's been referred to the clerk to process in accordance with bylaw number 2015-160, a policy for the disposal of real property. Item M, Rivard Brothers Building Contractor, application to purchase municipal land, and that was referred to the clerk to process in accordance with bylaw number 2015-160, the policy for disposal of real property. And I have a resolution, be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to deal with communication items 10A through M in accordance with the agenda or references. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Graydon. Seconded by Councillor Wayland. Discussion? Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, just quickly for Council's benefit, item E, Township of Coleman, resolution regarding Conservation Officer reclassification. That was discussed at the Temiskaming Municipal Association and supported, and it was also discussed at length at my last FNOM meeting and supported, so just so Council knows that is in the works. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to comment on item F, Northern Policy Institute, 2+1 roads. I was a little bit upset with that. One of our own members of council has spent a great deal of his own time and resources collecting data on this issue, and as well as other people from the local community. And it's, I've spoken to many people who are a little bit disappointed that the NPI would take all that information and just put their logo on it. So I just want to say that it's recognized that this is not NPI's project.
Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Anyone else? So we do have a resolution in front of us. All in favor? That motion is carried. Brings us to item 11, Committees of Council, Community and Regional. I have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the New Liskeard Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting held on November the 15th, 2023. B, the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on September the 27th, 2023. C, the minutes from the Temiskaming Shores Public Library Board meeting held on October the 25th, 2023. And D, the minutes from the Community Safety Wellbeing Housing Work Group held on November 29th, 2023. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item 12, reports by members of council. Anybody have any reports? No? Okay, seeing none, move to item 13, notice of motions. Is there any notice of motions tonight? No? Thank you. Takes us to item 14, new business. And 14A, administrative report number CS-050-2023-ZBA-2023-03. That's the JK Development, GP2 Limited, on behalf of Abdul Khalik, and 2844371 Ontario Inc., 121 Davidson Street, and adjacent land to the southeast. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report CS-050-2023, that Council agrees with the recommendation of the applicant's planner to amend the provisions of the City of Temiskaming Shores zoning bylaw number 2017-154 to permit the zone change from community facilities, CF, to high-density residential exception 20, R4-20, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend the City of Temiskaming Shores zoning bylaw number 2017-154 for consideration at the December 19th, 2023 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Second. Councillor Wilson. Discussion? Councillor Wilson?
Yeah, just a question. This is simply changing the zoning and sort of disregarding the other material in our packages. That's right. I'm just asking Jennifer on that piece that we are. There have been some changes to the proposal, and yet that doesn't affect the zoning. So I just wanted to clarify that we're being asked to change the zoning so that the project can continue to look at other options and those types of things.
Yeah, so that's correct. There had been a change to the site plan, but at this point, we're just looking at the zoning amendment and not the design of the site or the layout of the site. So that will come during the site plan control stage.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item B, the proclamation for National Alzheimer's Awareness Month for January 2024. I do have a resolution in front of me, whereas Alzheimer's Awareness Month is recognized during the month of January 2024 to raise awareness about Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. And whereas Alzheimer's disease is a degenerative brain disorder that most often occurs in people over the age of 65, but can occur in adults in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And whereas there are over 630,000 Canadians living with Alzheimer's disease, with a projected almost 1 million Canadians living with dementia by 2031. And whereas the Alzheimer's Society, Cochrane Temiskaming, provides programs and services to all citizens of Cochrane Temiskaming District. And whereas the Alzheimer's Society, Cochrane Temiskaming, encourages council, residents, business and services in the City of Temiskaming Shores to break the stigma and fear of exclusion attached to Alzheimer's and dementia, and build their community into a dementia-friendly community that supports those living with dementia to maintain an active role in our community, to take part in new things, and to continue activities they enjoy with confidence. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby declares the month of January 2024 as Alzheimer's Awareness Month in the City of Temiskaming Shores. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Ducharme, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item C, resolution of support water treatment training, correspondence from the November 21st, 2023 regular council meeting. I have a resolution in front of me. Whereas Council for the Town of Rainy River adopted a resolution regarding water treatment training at their regular meeting on October the 10th, 2023. And whereas the Province of Ontario has implemented stringent review of water treatment plants to ensure compliance. And whereas the Province of Ontario is promoting and providing an increased number of training opportunities for a variety of trades. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores supports the Town of Rainy River's petition to the Province of Ontario to expand water treatment training opportunities for communities within Ontario, and that the training be delivered in a method that is flexible and affordable and utilizing existing networks such as Contact North for online exam preparation and exam supervision. And further, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Andrea Ganjin, Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, the Walkerton Clean Water Centre, and the Town of Rainy River. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Grade. Thanks, Councillor Peltier-Living. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Item D, resolution of support, the amendment to the Legislation Act 2006 to include digital publications. This was correspondence from the November 21st, 2023 regular council meeting. Do you have a resolution in front of me? Whereas Council for the Municipality of Wawa adopted a resolution regarding an amendment to the Legislation Act 2006 to include digital publication at their regular meeting on November the 7th, 2023. And whereas the Legislation Act 2006 provides a definition of newspaper, which applies to every Ontario Act regulation, as in the provision requiring publication, means a document that A, is printed in sheet form, published at regular intervals of a week or less, and circulated to the public, and B, consists primarily of news of current events of general interest, journal, and whereas Ontario municipalities are required to follow publication and notice requirements for provincial acts and regulations, and whereas some small rural Ontario municipalities may not have the means to bring an application to the court to ask for directions and approval of an alternate manner of providing notice. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores supports the Municipality of Wawa's request to make an amendment to the Legislation Act 2006 to include digital publications as an acceptable means of publication and notice requirements for provincial acts and regulations. And further, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Paul Calandra, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Association of Ontario Municipalities, and the Municipality of Wawa. Can I get a mover, please? This is Councillor Foley, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? Councillor Whelan?
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have not only Diane, but a local newspaper as well. So, and we recognize that. But many of these municipalities now, if you go follow media across the north, lots of them are just repeats of each other with a different newspaper name at the top of the page. So they don't even have access anymore to the ability to post this unless they mail it away somewhere. So this is a good step on behalf of the smaller municipalities.
Thanks, Councillor Whelan. Any other discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item E, resolution of support, firefighters tax credit. And this is correspondence from the November 21st, 2023 regular council meeting. A resolution in front of me, whereas Council for the Municipality of Wawa adopted a resolution regarding firefighters tax credit at their regular meeting on November 7th, 2023, and whereas Canada has 90,000 volunteer firefighters who provide fire and all hazard emergency services to their communities. In addition, approximately 8,000 essential search and rescue volunteers respond to thousands of incidents every year. And whereas many of these individuals receive some form of pay on call, an honorarium, or are given some funding to cover expenses, but they do not draw a living wage from firefighting. And whereas without volunteer firefighters and search and rescue volunteers, thousands of these communities in Canada would have no fire and emergency response coverage. And whereas in 2013, the federal government initiated a tax credit recognizing these individuals and calling on the federal government to increase this tax credit from $3,000 to $10,000. And whereas volunteer firefighters account for 71% of Canada's total firefighting essential first responders, the tax code of Canada currently allows volunteer firefighters, search and rescue volunteers to claim a $3,000 credit if 200 hours of volunteer services were completed in a calendar year. Be it resolved, the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores supports the Municipality of Wawa's call upon the Government of Canada to support Bill C-310 and enact amendments to subsections 118.06 and 118.07 of the Income Tax Act to increase the amount of tax credits for volunteer firefighters and search and rescue volunteer services from $3,000 to $10,000, and further that a copy of the resolution be shared with the Association of Fire Chiefs of Ontario, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and the Municipality of Wawa. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Graydon. By Councillor Wayland. Discussion? All those in favor? The motion is carried. This takes us to item F, resolution of support, the preparation of bill regarding passing on double or two solid yellow lines. This is also correspondence from the November 21st, 2023 regular council meeting. Of a resolution, whereas Council for the Township of Eventuel adopted a resolution regarding the preparation of a bill for making it illegal to pass on double or two solid yellow lines at their regular meeting on November the 9th, 2023. And whereas police services in Ontario do not currently have the legal tools to penalize the dangerous maneuver of vehicles passing vehicular traffic on the left on two solid yellow lines, and whereas this dangerous maneuver has had devastating effects on the residents of Northern Ontario municipalities, which center around highways 11 and 17, and who must use these highways as main thoroughfares. And whereas Guy Bourgoin, the MPP from Mushkegowuk, James Bay, is preparing a bill to make it completely illegal for a vehicle to pass on the left side of a lane when it is marked with two solid yellow lines. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores supports the Township of Eventuel's endorsement of the preparation of this very important bill, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Guy Bourgeois, the MPP for Mushkegowuk, James Bay. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Foley, seconded by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All in favor? Then that motion is carried. Item G, the 2024 municipal operating budget. Resolution, whereas staff presented the 2024 municipal operating budget to Council at a special committee of the whole meeting on November the 28th, 2023. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby adopts in principle its 2024 municipal operating budget, utilizing a 3% increase to the municipal tax levy for operations and an increase to the wastewater rates utilizing an increase. And further, that Council hereby adopts in principle the 2024 general operating budget estimates as follows. And you guys can see all those. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Ducharme. Oh, and further, Council adopts in principle the 2024 environmental operating budget estimates as follows, and that's also attached. Are you okay still with that, Councillor Ducharme? Okay, and seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Item H, 2024 municipal capital budget. I have a resolution where staff presented the 2024 municipal capital budget to Council at a special committee of the whole meeting on November the 28th, 2023, and be it resolved that Council hereby adopts in principle the 2024 general capital budget estimates as follows. can see those, and further, the council hereby adopts in principle the 2024 environmental capital budget estimates as follows. And that's just the environmental projects for $906,520. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Graydon, seconded by Councillor Pelche-Living. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item I, memo number 031-2023-CS, the amendment to fees bylaw number 2012-039, Schedule B for cemetery fees. And I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 031-2023-CS, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend Schedule B cemetery fees to bylaw number 2012-039, the departmental user fees as amended, to update the license fees for consideration at the December 19th, 2023 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Foley. Second by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Item J, Administrative Report number CS-051-2023, the eScribe meeting software. I do have a resolution. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report CS-051-2023, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into a 3-year agreement with eScribe Software Limited for meeting management software within the Canoe Procurement Group via SHI at a total cost of $33,643 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the December 19th, 2023 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Item K, Administrative Report number CS-052-2023, the animal care and control fees. I have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report CS-052-2023, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend Schedule A, Administration, Corporate Services Fees to bylaw number 2012-039, as amended, to replace the registration of dogs and cats fee table with a revised animal care and control fee table for consideration at the December 19th, 2023 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Graydon. Councillor Pelche-Living. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Item L, memo number 034-2023-PW, the Ministry of Transportation, permission to construct the Uno Park Road. I have a resolution. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 034-2023-PW, and the Council delegate the authority to the Mayor and Clerk to sign the permission to construct agreement with His Majesty the King in right of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Transportation for the purpose of facilitating access for the replacement or rehabilitation to centerline culverts, various culvert extensions and culvert replacements, the improvements at Uno Park Road intersection ditch locations, and utility relocations. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Item M, memo number 035-2023-PW, the Spatial GIS and mapping data sharing, change in dedicated locator service provider. I have a resolution. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 035-2023-PW, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into a data sharing agreement with the GTEL Engineering for use of the Spatial GIS and mapping data in electronic format for the purpose of the Community Network Partners Dedicated Locator Regional Project for fiber to the home for consideration at the December 19th, 2023 regular meeting. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Graydon. Councillor Whalen, discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Item N, don't worry, I'll be done soon. Item N, Administrative Report Number RS-029-2023, the Buck Park RFP Award. I have a resolution. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report RS-029-2023, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Sylvain G. Gelina for the lease of Buck Park from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2028, for the operation of a campground for consideration at the December 19th, 2023 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Foley, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? Councillor.
Yeah, just for council's benefit, because this was prior council, we had serious discussions actually about shutting down and selling off Buck Park, and then Councillor Jelly was very adamant to give it another try. So we brought this young lad in, and the operations entirely turned around, became very successful. It's hard to get a spot down there unless you're tenting, so it's nice to see him rewarded with a guarantee of time like this, so he does a great job for us. So,
thanks, Councillor Whalen. Any other comments? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Brings us to item O, Administrative Report Number RS-030-2023, the Memorial Bench and Tree Policy Revision. Of a resolution, be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report RS-030-2023, and the Council directs staff to repeal Bylaw 2020-114 and to prepare the necessary bylaw to adopt a revised Memorial Bench and Tree Program policy for consideration at the December 19th, 2023 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Ducharme, seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Item P, Administrative Report Number RS-031-2023, the Schaefer Park donation. Do you have a resolution? Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report RS-031-2023, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into a funding agreement with the AC-15 hockey tournament for a donation towards the refurbishment of the Shaver Park outdoor rink in the amount of $50,000 for consideration at the December 19th, 2023 regular council meeting. Get a mover, please. Thanks, Councillor Graydon. Seconded by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Item Q, Administrative Report Number RS-032-2023, the Animal Pound Request for Quotation Award. I have a resolution. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report RS-032-2023, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with 2782917 Ontario Inc., operated as Tempro Construction, for the renovation of the Haileybury Service Marina, to an animal pound with an upset limit of $74,000 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the December 19th, 2023 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Foley, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. And this takes us to item 15, bylaws. Do you have a resolution? Be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-124, being a bylaw to enter into a data sharing agreement with GTEL Engineering to use the spatial GIS and mapping data in electronic format for the purpose of the Community Network Partners Dedicated Locator Regional Project for Fiber to the Home. Bylaw number 2023-125, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Food Cycle Science Corporation for the supply and delivery of the food cycler product and for assistance with the management of the pilot project for 100 households. Bylaw number 2023-126, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2019-016 as amended to enter into an agreement with Pedersen Construction 2013 Inc. for the rental of the excavator, complete with operator for water break repairs at various locations. It's a one-year extension from December 31st, 2024. Bylaw number 2023-127, being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 2017-103 to adopt a terms of reference for the Temiskaming Shores Splash Pad Committee. Bylaw number 2023-128, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2012-039 as amended to adopt schedules of departmental user fees and services for the City of Temiskaming Shores. Schedule A, Administration, Corporate Services, Animal Care and Control Fees, Schedule B, Cemetery Fees, and Schedule D, Recreation Service Fees. Bylaw number 2023-129, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Nerbo Aquatic Inc. for the supply of splash pad equipment. Bylaw number 2023-130, being a bylaw to authorize borrowing from time to time to meet current expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. Bylaw number 2023-131, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2019-155 as amended to enter into a lease agreement with Kyle and Maria Overton for the operation of the Spurline concession at the waterfront. Bylaw number 2023-132, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2021-174 to authorize the execution of a Parts 3 and 4 of Provincial Offences Act interim transfer agreement between His Majesty the King and Right of Ontario as represented by the Attorney General and the Corporation of the City of Temiskaming Shores. Bylaw number 2023-133, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2017-015 as amended to adopt a procurement policy for the City of Temiskaming Shores. Bylaw number 2023-134, being a bylaw to adopt a multi-year accessibility plan from 2024 to 2028. Bylaw number 2023-135, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Digital Media and Communications 2013 Limited for digital marketing services to promote the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase at the 2024 PDAC and SIM conventions. Bylaw number 2023-136, being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 2019-106 as amended for the appointment of municipal law enforcement officers to enforce the city's animal control bylaw and noise bylaw as it relates to animal control services. Bylaw number 2023-137, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2017-154 to rezone property from the community facilities CF zone to the high density residential exception 20 or 420 zone to allow for the development of multi-unit residential buildings on the property with a maximum of 59 units. Bylaw number 2023-138, being a bylaw to enter into a 3-year agreement with eScribe Software Limited for meeting management software within the Canoe Procurement Group via SHI. Bylaw number 2023-139, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Sylvain Jelena for the lease of Buck Park from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2028 for the operations of a campground. Bylaw number 2023-140, being a bylaw to adopt a memorial beach and tree policy for memorial bench and tree policy for the City of Temiskaming Shores, and this repeals bylaw number 2020-114. Bylaw number 2023-141, being a bylaw to enter into a funding agreement with AC-15 Hockey Tournament for a donation towards the refurbishment of the Schaefer Park outdoor rink. Bylaw number 2023-142, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with 2782917 Ontario Inc., operating as Tempro Construction for the renovation of the Halebury Service Marina to the Animal Pound, be hereby introduced and given first and second and third and final reading, be signed by the Mayor and Clerk, and the corporate seal affixed there too. Can I get a mover, please? And please don't ask me to repeat that. Thanks. Councillor Graydon, second by Councillor Pelchalibing. All in favor? And that motion is carried. And I have a resolution, be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-122, being a bylaw to regulate the care and control of animals and the registration of dogs and cats within the City of Temiskaming Shores, be hereby given third and final reading, be signed by the Mayor and Clerk, and the corporate seal affixed there too. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Foley, and by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Brings us to item 16, the schedule of council meetings. So we have a committee of the whole meeting scheduled for January the 16th, 2024, starting at 3 o'clock. And B, a regular council meeting scheduled for January the 16th as well, 2024, immediately following the committee of the whole meeting. This takes us to our question and answer period. Anybody stick around long enough to ask us any questions? Shall? No? Okay, so it brings us to item 18 for closed session. I do have a resolution. To be it resolved, the council agrees to convene in closed session at 7:21. Yeah. So we'll say 7:31. To discuss the following matters. A, the adoption of the September 19th, 2023, the October 3rd, 2023, the November 7th, 2023, the November 13th, 2023, the November 21st, 2023, and the December 5th, 2023 closed session minutes. B, under Section 239 2D of the Municipal Act 2001, the labor relations, employee negotiations, collective agreement negotiations. And C, under Section 239 2C of the Municipal Act 2001, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, which is 468 Georgina Avenue, the former Halebury Fire Hall. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Wilson, second by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? We are in closed session. Thanks, everyone.
Jeff, can I just say it was great